We're moving from the US to Germany, and this is everything we have to consider.
And it's a lot.
Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Feli. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but I've been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio since 2016, but not for much longer. And then this is my husband, Ben.
Hey guys.
Welcome back on the channel.
Oh yeah.
Well, the last few weeks have been crazy for us.
Oh, yeah.
We've been basically packing up our entire house. We'll get to that. Preparing all these things to move our lives from Cincinnati, Ohio to Munich, Germany for at least the next year.
Yeah.
We've talked about this in a couple other videos. I'm gonna link those up here and down below for you guys. That's where we explained why we're doing this, what the plan is. But the short story basically is that we've been wanting to do this for a pretty long time, just wanting to live in Germany and specifically Munich, close to my family for a little while, kind of figure out if there's one country that we see ourselves in long term. And even if not, both Ben and myself have just wanted to spend a little more time in Germany again, for me again, and for him for the first time.
Yeah, while we're still young.
Exactly. The plan is a little bit to kind of do this before we have kids so we can get a lot of traveling in as well. And this is coming up very soon now. We've talked about it for, at this point, probably at least over a year that we were gonna do this in 2025. And now we're like a couple weeks out and it's crazy. And you guys have had so many questions, like how does this work with Ben's visa? How do you get the cats over? How do you get all your stuff over? Are you even getting all of your stuff over? There's so many questions. And today we're gonna try to get into most of those things. I think we won't really be able to like get super deep into every single topic because that's basically like a video for each topic.
Yeah.
I started researching back in January. So there is a lot that goes into this.
If we went over everything, it would be a feature film that we're making here.
But I have some notes written down here on my laptop and we're just gonna basically touch on all of these categories and break it down for you and hopefully answer all of your questions. If you have any questions left at the end of the video or any follow-up questions, put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them in the comments afterwards. Okay, first of all, housing. Obviously, we need to have a place in Germany to live in, and then we also have a place here in Cincinnati. So what we did was that we had to find a place in Munich to rent, and we actually started looking, I kind of like started observing the rental market, I think over a year ago, to just kind of see like what are the budgets, because Munich is very expensive to rent and to buy also. So
the exact opposite of Cincinnati.
Yes. A lot of people asked if we're buying in Munich. I wish. That would be cool, but no, we're not that rich.
My piggy bank ain't that big.
But we're renting, and I kind of started observing the rental market to kind of see, is it realistic that we'll be in Munich? Will we be a little bit outside of Munich? How big of a house can we even afford? Because we've been wanting to rent at least a townhouse, which is very common in Germany, or maybe a duplex if we get really lucky. And this is actually something that I think we already talked about in the last video where we gave an update. So long story short, we got super lucky because we actually ended up finding a single family home in the city of Munich, not outside of Munich, that we're basically renting through a relative of mine. It's not like immediate family, but it's someone that's in my extended family. And they just had this house that's not like freshly renovated or anything. It's, you know, you would probably call it a fixer-upper. But for us to rent, we were like, that's like all the space we need and more.
Oh yeah.
Because the thing is, we both work from home.
Yeah.
I need space to film. He also has all his camera equipment because he's a photographer.
Yes.
So he needs space for that, like a little photo studio setup. And then also we have two cats that are very spoiled and they just run up and down the stairs all day long. And so now we're actually going to have a house that's crazy to say. We did not expect this at all. It's going to be bigger than our house in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Wild.
Which I did not see that even being a scenario.
We got very, very lucky. Let's just say that. For most people, and that is what we also expected, that would not be the case. I think we most likely would have ended up in like a little townhouse, probably sandwiched in between two other townhouses, probably either on like the edge of the city or outside of the city. Yeah. But yeah, again, we just got super lucky. So we got that figured out. And we're actually not selling our house in Cincinnati because at this point, as I said, this is kind of like a little trial run and we don't know if we're going to like it or not. We don't know if we want to come back to the US in a year. I mean, at this point, we're kind of planning to do that. in a year or maybe a little bit longer, but we plan on coming back.
Yeah.
So we're renting out our Cincinnati house.
I want to say one more thing about the house that we're going to be moving to.
Yeah.
It's right next to a park, which I am so excited for that. Just to be able to go out, walk out of the house, walk like 100 meters. I'm using meters. And just go into a park and get that full European experience that we don't have a lot of in
The
Cincinnati.
Sunday walks.
We were in Fountain Square in Cincinnati the other day, which it's not a park, but it's like a public
space
area.
Yeah.
And there was like 5 people there.
It was a beautiful day. Beautiful day.
Beautiful.
Yeah. For renting out the house, we basically just listed it on Zillow. Luckily, Ben actually does real estate photography, so he just took all the photos really nicely, listed it, and then we had a bunch of viewings. And eventually we got super lucky, found 2 really nice tenants. And from the beginning, we were kind of hoping that we could maybe find someone who would be willing to keep some of our furniture so that we don't actually have to pack up the entire house. Yeah. There were a few things that we didn't want to leave, like, for example, our mattress. But most of the stuff we were pretty much like, yeah, you can keep it as long as it doesn't get destroyed. That's totally fine. And luckily, we found tenants where they're keeping a good amount of our stuff, and they also didn't have any problem with us leaving boxes in the basement. Yeah. So here we can go to the next topic, and that is like our belongings.
Yeah.
What are we doing with everything? Are we bringing everything over? No. The answer is definitely no. We're bringing like, I don't know, percentage wise, maybe like not even 10%.
No, we're bringing a lot though.
We're bringing a lot, but compared to how much we have in this house,
I
don't know percent, but like we're bringing a small fraction of our stuff. Basically the necessities, the things that we absolutely cannot live without. A lot of our clothes. Well, I'm actually bringing most of my clothes that I have here in the US.
Yeah. I'm shipping a lot of my clothes.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff that I'm actually going to be taking with me is going to be my work stuff, camera gear, because I don't want to be separated from that. It's very
and
expensive.
He has a lot of that.
Yeah.
So that's 2 whole suitcases by itself. So to break it down, what are we doing with our belongings? It's basically a mix of several things. Number 1, we're getting a storage unit. Well, we already have a storage unit, a 10 by 10 foot, like one of those drive up things, like garage thingies.
And it's full.
Yeah, it's already very full. That's where we're putting a lot of our stuff. Then we're, as I said, able to leave a few boxes in the basement, boxes and storage tubs. We're kind of trying to like put them on the walls of the basement so that the tenants can still fully like use the basement, but there will be some of our stuff down there. We're bringing like a very few things to your parents' house, just kind of things where we feel like they're valuable or you might need to access them at some point.
Yeah, if we come back and visit, I'd like to be able to have those things readily available.
At your parents.
They were like the next things to be packed, but they didn't make the cut.
Didn't make the cut. And then we're bringing suitcases and we're shipping things. So those are the 2 ways that we're bringing things over. There were a bunch of questions of, are you shipping a container? The answer is no. We're also not bringing any furniture. We're really just bringing clothes, camera equipment, and, you know, like documents and stuff like that. Like I packed several of my document binders. I packed like a bunch of just personal memorial things like birthday cards and photos and stuff like that. So to break it down into numbers, we're bringing 3 checked bags each. And we don't actually have to pay for them because, and now we're jumping into the category of flight. We booked the flight a few months ago and we actually decided to get an additional seat. So we have an extra seat that we're paying for. We got 3 plane tickets basically.
A whole row.
Because we're bringing both of our cats, and at least with all the major American airlines, you're not allowed to have cats in like the premium economy or the business class or any of the other like higher cabins. You can only bring your cats in economy. And especially Ben already struggles with leg space in those seats. And the cats have to go in the cabin with us and they have to go underneath the seat in front of you, meaning like there's no way you can stretch your legs. So that's why we ended up getting a 3rd seat, which we thought like in that case was worth the money for us. We're flying with United Airlines, by the way, with whom I also happen to have the Premier Silver status with right now. So that helps a little bit as well. But generally, their rule for international flights is that you get 2 checked bags complimentary per ticket. So because we have 3 tickets, anyone, even without status, you would get 6 checked bags complimentary for an international flight. So that comes in super handy. Now, because I have status, we get a higher weight limit. We can pack 70 pounds per checked bags instead of the regular 50 pounds. But even if you just get 50 pounds, I feel like that's a pretty good thing. So long story short, we don't have to pay anything extra for the checked bags. Yeah. So I feel like that extra seat came in handy in 2 ways already. And then we're each also going to have our carry-on little suitcases. Yes. and a big backpack.
Yes.
Which his is already like huge every time we go anywhere because all of his camera lenses are in that backpack. And the cats. So basically because we have the cats, we have like one additional on-cabin item, but that's allowed. So we'll have the cats, the backpack, and the carry-on suitcase. That's going to be a whole lot of luggage. That's crazy. Now, in addition to that, we're also shipping boxes over to Germany just in the mail, basically. I mean, you can do it with UPS, you can do it with FedEx, you can do it with USPS. We ended up doing it with FedEx, and we're doing 3 large Home Depot moving boxes per person.
Yeah, the heavy duty boxes.
The heavy duty boxes. And that was definitely a pretty big thing because you have to prepare all of the customs forms with it, a commercial invoice. There's like a lot of forms that you have to fill out.
Declaration statement.
And especially Ben, because he's shipping so much equipment and also bringing so much equipment in the checked bags. You spent like days, basically.
Yeah, I spent 2 to 3 days. It kind of helped because my back was hurting from moving all the stuff to the storage units. So now that I got those 2 to 3 days just to sit at my computer and work on an Excel sheet.
Yeah, but you didn't even have a desk anymore. You've just been sitting on the floor.
Sitting on the ground,
But so tell them what you had to do.
Yeah, so I had to make a declaration statement basically saying that all of this stuff I've had for a certain amount of time, that it's all mine. I know the rules about bringing it into the country. I won't sell it. And then I had to make an Excel sheet with all of the items. And then I attached the receipts and the original value. And then this is the big thing, is the estimated used value. So what I could resell those things for on the secondhand market. And if they do decide to tax me upon entry, which they shouldn't, but that's what they would tax me based off of. Which I give them a fair used price, but whether they want to use that, it's up to them.
So basically he did it like really thoroughly. I think you did it more thoroughly than it's technically needed, but you better safe than sorry. Yeah. I mean, you have like this whole Excel sheet with like pictures and everything.
Yeah, pictures and then screenshots and everything.
But basically the rule is in terms of customs that if you're moving, it's called Übersiedlungsgut in German. I don't actually know what the English translation is that they use, but like moving goods, that as long as they are your belongings that you are moving with you, and you can prove that these aren't for sale and you're not just importing them for whatever other reason, then you don't have to pay customs on them. So then it's free. But the big thing is that you have to prove that, first of all, you are moving, that you've owned them for more than 6 months prior to moving, and that you actually need them. Like, for example, with all of his equipment, he needs to also prove, like, I'm a photographer, this is my business, so I do use this for my professional needs. So those are all the things that you have to prove in order to not pay any taxes.
Full transparency, this is the thing I'm most nervous about. I just want to be able to hit the ground running. Whenever I finally do get my work permit, that I feel comfortable, I feel at home, and I can pick back up where I left off and go out and get my clients and have some fun. The hack that we figured out in all of this was, I don't know the exact term, but it's through FedEx. It's like last day shipping, where we got an extremely good rate on our boxes, 3 boxes each, so 6 boxes total. And it was considerably cheaper than if you got it months in advance. So thanks to Feli. She's the one that found it. We didn't have to break our wallets to get our things over there. So
so we had basically calculated with at least $150 per box, because that's like the cheapest rate you can find online. In addition to the big carriers, there's also services like Send My Bags and a few other ones that basically do all the stuff for you, but they still ship through like DHL, UPS, etc. But I think for them, it was like $150 to $200 per box. But this is actually something that I found in one of these Facebook groups, because I'm a member of a lot of these like Facebook groups of Americans moving to Germany or Germans who live in the US moving back to Germany, like all these, and people exchange a lot of helpful tips. And there was one person, shout out to him, that told the group about these last minute deals on FedEx, that if you have an account there and then you put in your like shipping information, in addition to the regular prices, which I think for our 6 boxes would have been like $2,000 and up with FedEx.
More. I saw some of them that were like almost $3,000.
Yeah, which FedEx, like that wasn't the cheapest deal on the market, but like that was the regular FedEx rate. In addition to that, there was a rate that said, I think it was $178
For
Total.
all.
Total. So that's the one we ended up going with. Now, of course, we're going to see if everything works out. We don't know yet if everything is going to arrive perfectly on time. But another thing that I haven't mentioned yet, for our 6 checked bags and our 6 packages that we're sending, we have an AirTag, an Apple AirTag in each of them. So we're expecting the worst. We're expecting like worst case scenario, some of the checked bags or all of the checked bags are getting lost. The packages might get lost. Whatever, like if that happens, then at least we have our own tracking and we at least know where they are. And then maybe that'll help us to get them back. Yeah. But I've also read horror stories about the shipping process, that the German customs in some cases keep the packages for weeks or even months before processing it. So let's hope that that doesn't happen, but we'll see how it goes. But worst case, we at least know where they are.
Yeah. I got my winter coats in some of those boxes, so can't be months.
See, because you have so much camera equipment in your checked bags, you couldn't bring as much of your clothing. Yeah. What I basically did is I packed all of my winter stuff in my checked bags, which I think made up pretty much 2 entire checked bags because we're arriving there and it's basically going to be fall and winter pretty much immediately. And then I'm shipping all of my summer stuff because I'm thinking, well, that's not going to be till like May or so of 2026, if we're lucky, that I'm going to need that in Munich. Yeah. So I'm thinking if that takes a few months, that's okay. But yeah, you put a few of your winter things in there too.
Yeah.
Let's hope that it gets there soon.
Fingers crossed, thumbs pressed.
Okay, so we already touched on housing, our belongings, and the flight situation. Yes. Next up, jobs. What are we going to be working?
We're going to be self-employed.
We're self-employed here. We're going to be self-employed in Germany. I, as a dual citizen, can pretty much be self-employed right away. The way that it works is that my business will stay running in the US, basically, at least for now, unless we end up moving to Germany permanently. But for now, the business will basically stay in the US, but I will pay taxes in Germany. So I'll be registered tax-wise, but I won't really like found a whole new LLC or business entity, basically. And then you will wait a while until you have a work permit.
Yeah.
And then you will actually have to register as a photographer.
Yeah. Which can't wait to do that.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, if there's ever a situation arises in Germany where I could go out and get a job that I'm interested in, I feel like the incentive of being an employee is much bigger in Germany than it is here in the US. You get health insurance, dental insurance. That's the big ones. Sorry.
I mean, I feel like you get that with a lot of American jobs too, but the standards are always different with American jobs. And that actually brings us to another big topic that people asked about, and that's insurance. How are you going to be insured? So because we're both self-employed, the public health insurance system in Germany, what many people might think of when they think of universal health care, that's actually not what we're going to be a part of. Yeah. We could be a part of, but first of all, the public health insurance isn't obligated to accept self-employed people into it. Plus, the rates are usually based on your income. And for our income, the rates would actually be insanely high, like at least over $1,000 a month.
I did not know that.
For the public health insurance. But that's why it makes sense for us to go into the private health insurance sector, which is kind of comparable to the American health insurance market. I mean, there's different laws and everything, but I'm already in the process of figuring out what our rates will be. There will most likely be around 400 euros a month. So still pretty hefty per person, that is. But of course, you also get that means everything is included for the most part. I mean, not everything, but everything that you would consider basic healthcare will be included, including dental and everything.
Oh, dental insurance. Oh.
And of course, things like if you end up getting pregnant, if you end up having a kid, all of that is fully covered. So that's probably the route that we're going to go. If you go to Germany and you're an employee, then you're part of the public health insurance and your monthly premium will be a lot lower because first of all, you're in a different category, but also your employer actually is obligated to pay half of it. And then you pay the other half of your premium and it's automatically being taken out of your paycheck. So you never really notice how much you're paying. So it's not that it's completely free for most people. You still pay for your health insurance, but the big pro side of the German healthcare system is that prices are heavily regulated. So medications cost a certain amount, which is usually significantly lower than in the US. Procedures cost a certain amount. And that's how much you have to pay. And therefore, medical debt or unexpected medical expenses just don't really exist.
Yeah, you're speaking another language to me right now.
Okay, next topic, visa. A lot of people are curious how Ben will be able to come to Germany legally. The answer is basically that we got married.
Oh yeah, family reunion visa.
Exactly, that's what it is. It's in German usually called the Familienzusammenführung or Familiennachzug. In Germany, they also don't call that a visa. For some reason, like in the US, that would be the visa you're on, the status, the legal status you're on. In Germany, they only call it a visa if it's something that you need to enter the country, which as an American, Ben doesn't need a visa to enter. You can just enter with your passport, but they call it just the residency title or the residency status, residency permit. So basically, we will be applying for a Aufenthaltsgenehmigung, a residency permit, through the route of family reunion for him. Yes. So the way that this works, you can technically do it all from the US up front, but we got married, so not last minute, but like we got married 2 months before we're leaving. So there wasn't enough time to get it all figured out beforehand. So we're taking the route of doing it in the country, which means that we will basically just enter the country. Normally, he will just enter with his passport as a tourist, basically, which allows him to stay in Germany for up to 90 days at a time. Won't be able to work yet. And then once we're there, we're going to go to the register office or the Bürgerbüro, the Einwohnermeldeamt, where we have to register that we live at this address in Munich because everyone in Germany has to have their address registered. And then with that, we can then file his application for the residency permit because you can only do it after you have registered your address. And then I think we have to submit our marriage certificates, which I'll get to the documents here in a second. We had to get a few things done beforehand. Marriage certificates. We're going to submit your diploma that you have bachelor's degree because that might make you exempt for the language certificate, which I'm hoping that's the case.
Yeah. Which I think I can speak at an A1 level.
No, you can, but we would just have to sign you up for the test, pay for the test, all of that. And there is a chance that with the bachelor's diploma, he won't have to. We'll keep you updated on how that works out. Your passport, an application form, and then I think just a little bit of information of where our income is coming from, etc. And then that's what we're going to file as soon as we're in Munich. And then it can take a few weeks up to a few months. Hopefully it's going to be weeks, that we'll get an in-person appointment and that you will then get your residency permit and your work permit.
Yes. Can't wait.
If you're not married to a German citizen, there are other ways to come to Germany. It's generally a lot easier to move to Germany compared to moving to the US. There are more routes to move to Germany. That's for sure. Ben, for example, could have applied for the freelance visa if he wasn't married to me. And that should have also worked, I think, but it's just a little bit more restrictive in what professions you're allowed to do with it.
And also I think there's a few more things that I would have to prove, like in regards to that. If anybody has any experience with that, I'd actually like to hear about the process of the freelance visa.
Yeah. Again, next point, the documents. So as I just mentioned, we had to prepare a few things.
Yes.
One thing was that we actually went to Frankfort, Kentucky. The capital of Kentucky is ironically called Frankfort because we got married in Kentucky and also Ben was born in Kentucky because for what I think they call vital records, so marriage certificates, divorce certificates, birth and death certificates, you need this thing that's like an international authorization on your documents in order for them to be fully recognized in the other country. And Germany definitely requires this. I think most countries around the world require this. It's called an apostille. I don't really know how to pronounce it, honestly, because I think it's French, but I've only heard it pronounced by English speakers.
Yeah.
Apostle. Yeah, apostle. This is how it's spelled, apostille. And it's this international standard of authorization. And we went to the state secretary, right?
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State, and basically just handed them our documents. We also got like an additional copy of your birth certificate. And then they just put that thing on it. It's like
this big seal.
It's a page. It's an additional page with this big seal.
Yeah, and the seal cannot be broken. You have to bring that to Germany.
Yeah.
From what they told us, and it cannot be broken.
Yeah.
So we've been wanting to kind of take a photo of the marriage license, and it's kind of hard because the seal kind of makes it to where you can't
it's like a tape.
open it all the way. So it looks cool though.
It does look cool. And that's definitely a step that you have to do before you leave because it's really hard to get it once you're abroad. And then the other thing that I could have done in Germany, but already initiated is getting both the marriage certificates and also your diploma translated. And I had it translated by a German translator that is beeidigt in Germany. I quite honestly don't fully know what the legal terms here are, but it's a translator that's like registered with the official authorities in Germany. And then it's like also notarized at the same time. So it's a notarized translation by someone who's registered. So we had that done. That didn't cost too much, but cost like a little bit of money. And with that, hopefully we're ready to file everything in Germany.
Hopefully we have everything.
Another thing that we did just in case was we requested our criminal history from the FBI database. So, I mean, there is no criminal history, but basically the statement that there is none. That actually cost a good amount of money. We had to go to the post office and have our fingerprints taken. And we don't really need that right now, but people on these Facebook groups said that, for example, if you do look for a job, like a regular employment job in the future, they might require that. So we just got that just in case. And I remember when I applied for my green card in the US, I had to get that from Germany and it was kind of complicated to do from abroad. So we figured, okay, since we're still here, we're going to get that just in case. And then other than that, I think it's mainly just the customs forms that we already talked about.
Customs packet.
And that's about it. Also for the customs forms, what I didn't mention earlier, in order to prove all of these things that we are moving, etc., we also printed things like some of our latest tax returns to prove that we actually did live abroad, brought our lease, or we packed our lease.
The signed lease for the place we're moving and the lease that because we didn't sell our house. So the only way that we have to prove that we're moving from our old place is the lease that we signed with our tenants. So that counts.
That's the proof that we're leaving the US. And then we also are showing the lease that we have a residency in Munich already signed. So those are all like other types of documents that everyone already has, but that we're just like also printing. A lot of Germans who are moving back to Germany apparently also really struggle with customs not believing them that they have lived abroad for more than 12 months. And you can't bring your moving goods in unless you've lived abroad for at least a year. And so just to prove that as a citizen, I also printed the deed of our house, that we bought a house in 2021, that I founded a business in 2020, like all these utility bills from years ago, all these things that are kind of like proving, look, like I have lived here at least several years. So hopefully that'll all work out. All right, this one's a big one. And I feel like this might actually become its own video too, because there's so much to say about this. And that is the cats. How are we moving the cats over? It's a big topic. I'm going to try and keep it short, okay? Because I do think that we should probably make our own video about it. First of all, the cats go on the plane with you. All the major American airlines don't allow you to put a cat in cargo anymore. So they stay in the cabin with you, which I think most pet owners also prefer. You have to get the right container for them. United Airlines had specific dimensions that they allow as the maximum dimensions. We got 2 travel soft-sided carriers for them.
Make sure you check with your airlines that you're flying on the sizes, because I'm pretty sure some of them have different sizes.
They have different sizes. We made sure that we fit the dimensions for United, and we got the carriers like a couple months ago and kind of left them around the house so that the cats would get used to them. It didn't really work, but I don't think they're scared of them either, because we haven't taken them to the vet in those containers. So those are just for the travel day.
They're going to like it.
I hope so. Then you have to check with your airline if they even allow pets on that specific flight, because most airlines have restrictions of how many pets are allowed per flight, per cabin. For our flight, I think there were no other cats on the flight, so it was no problem. I just had to call, and then we paid $150 per cat in like a cat fee, basically. So that was an extra cost. Then you have to get these health certificates for your cats, which are basically the standardized form for the EU in this case, that proves that your cats have all the required vaccine. Specifically, the rabies vaccine is what they're looking at. If it's a young cat, there's like requirements of how long ago the first rabies vaccine must have taken place, etc. I mean, our cats are already a few years old, so there was no issue with that. The microchip has to fit certain standards. So I've read that some people in the US actually have to put a second microchip into their cats because the first microchip didn't fit the requirements. Ours already did, luckily. So the microchip has to fit the requirements. And then it's like this form that I think is like at least 10 pages long that you have to get filled out by your vet. And then they have to send it to the USDA,
which is a
United States Agriculture Department?
Some Department
of Agriculture. So where they then officially certify the form. Now, the thing with these forms is that you can only get them filled out within 10 days of entering the other country. Yes. So once they're filled out, they're only valid for 10 days, which means you have a pretty short window there. And because of how our flight is scheduled, which we scheduled it for Sunday, September 14th, the whole 10-day window is actually a little tricky because we're leaving on the 14th, but we're entering Germany on the 15th because it's an overnight flight. And then the 10-day window from there could either be like the Friday of the week before, but that would mean that if, let's say, our flight gets delayed or something and we enter Germany a day later than originally planned, then the health certificate isn't valid anymore. So we decided to get the vet appointment done on Monday, September 8th.
Yeah, something like that.
And that gives us kind of a short window of getting the whole certificate back. And I have read stories of people where they said they almost missed their flight because their certificate came back so last minute, because the way it works is that the vet fills it out, then they send it off to the USDA, and then it gets mailed back to your house. Yeah. So fingers crossed with that. That's a whole situation. Also, the health certificates are pretty expensive, at least at our vet. I don't know if this is like per vet or if this is like a general price, but ours will cost $350 per cat.
Bingo.
So the whole moving the cats thing already is at $500 per cat at this point.
Yeah.
So $1,000 just to get the cats over legally. And then also at the vet, we will get some anxiety medication for them that we're going to give them before the flight. The cats are not supposed to be unconscious on the flight. I think a lot of people think, oh, they're just going to be sedated and then they're just not even going to feel anything. Apparently, that is an outdated thing to do, at least from what I've read. Current medical research says that it's actually more dangerous for the cat if they're unconscious, because then their body can't regulate the pressure differences and things like that as much. So it's actually safer for them to be conscious, but it just a little bit calmed down. So we're actually going to do a test run with medication before the flight. Hopefully we can kind of get an idea of how our cats react to it and how to also give it to them. Because, our cats never had to take any medication and they're both very picky with stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. But yeah, the whole cat thing is a pretty big category in all of this. Yeah. If you don't have pets, things will be significantly easier.
And cheaper.
Well, maybe not smooth, but definitely smoother.
Yeah.
Okay, I only have 2 categories left on here, and that is cars.
Oh,
what are we doing with our cars?
I transferred my car to my brother. So that was simple and easy.
Pretty simple. Yep. Keeping the car within the family. If we do end up coming back, then it'll go back to you. But it was a family car to begin with. You at some point got it from your grandma.
Yeah, I got it from my grandma.
Giving it to your brother. It's staying around. My car I bought in 2019. And at that point, it was already like an older car. Like it already had 200,000 miles on it, but it's a Toyota.
Yeah, it can run all forever.
Yeah. And actually sold it privately, happened to sell it to our neighbor actually, which that was lucky. I was ready to list it on, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. But before I even got to that, the neighbor reached out and was like, hey, what are you doing about your car? And so now I just sold it to the neighbor, which was pretty nice. And in terms of car in Munich, we are getting a car, and we actually decided to lease a car for 12 months because it's just, if you buy a car, used cars are, first of all, more expensive in Germany because there are higher standards, like maintenance standards, etc. You can't really find beaters in Germany the same way that you can find in a lot of American states, because those basically aren't allowed in Germany. So buying a used car is already a little bit more expensive in Germany compared to the US. Plus, then you don't know how much money you have to put into it throughout the year. And then if we do end up going back to the US, we would have to sell it again. So we figured it might be easier for our situation for now to just do a 12-month lease on a car. And this actually means that we're going to have the nicest car that both of us have ever had. Because I've only had this old car that didn't even have a beeper or anything like that. Didn't even have Bluetooth, nothing. Yeah. Your car is already a little nicer from 2011, nice. But still, this is going to be like a 2025 car.
We got a Nissan Qashqai, which I'm pretty sure is the Rogue in the States. So I think it might be a little different, but I'm excited for it. It looks nice.
I'm pretty excited too. Of course, that costs a certain amount of money too. It's not cheap, but we felt like it was a little bit more reasonable in terms of the expenses. I think we have to pay about 1,600 down for like the transport of the car and like a 500 euro down payment. And then I think it's about 270 euros per month for the car. And then of course we have to pay for car insurance. That's not included yet. And gas, which is pretty expensive. But it's also not like we're going to use the car all the time in Munich. We're going to use it for certain things.
Yeah.
Like we want to do a lot of like DIY stuff and renovation things. Definitely going to use it to run to the hardware store and stuff like that. The Baumarkt, maybe for grocery shopping every now and then. But then I think also mostly for just day trips and bigger trips. Like we want to travel a lot.
I want to go to Venice again.
Exactly. It's like a 5 to 6 hour drive. So we're going to get in our car.
You mentioned gasoline.
Yeah.
I'm still not used to the gasoline prices whenever I'm in Germany.
Yeah.
Every time I see the prices on it, I'm like, that's so cheap.
Oh, yeah.
And you know why it's cheap?
Oh, sorry.
It's because it's per liter.
It's per liter, so it looks cheap from an American perspective because it'll be like 160, but it's 160 per liter and not per gallon. And that's way more. It's like 3 times as expensive or so.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's crazy. Last but not least, canceling things. Obviously, talking about the car, I sold my car. I immediately called the car insurance, canceled my car insurance. We canceled things like our security system, like we had Simply Safe at our house. Just a bunch of other subscriptions that we had.
Streaming services that aren't offered in Germany, which, I mean, I could technically use a VPN, but there's other, I can watch those streaming services.
Yeah. I had Amazon subscriptions set up for cat litter, for example. I had like a couple other subscription services like razor blades. I had like the Billy razors where like they deliver the blades every month. I had a subscription for our bamboo toilet paper because at some point I switched us from regular toilet paper to like the Grove bamboo toilet paper because I felt like, that like is a lot more sustainable. That was a subscription. Like all those things, I just had to be like, okay, let's make sure these are all canceled.
I wish I could cancel my student loan debt, but they wouldn't let me.
That'd be nice. Okay, so that was everything that we could think of. If you guys have any other questions, let us know in the comments below. Of course, there are more things than we just mentioned, but I feel like these were like the really important things that people have a lot of questions about. But let us know in the comments below. We'll try to answer all of your questions, and we're also gonna film the move. So there will probably be a video where you can actually see how it went the day of. So stay tuned for that. Also, if you want to support us, because moving is not cheap, feel free to do that with the super thanks button down below. You can send a tip via Ko-fi.com, via PayPal. You can join my Patreon community. We appreciate all of that. And also just by watching this video and watching the ads, you help us out a lot.
And I also might be making a channel here soon. Who knows? So
I think you should. And I think the audience really wants you to. So consider it.
I got you guys. Just give me a little bit. I gotta acclimate.
Gotta settle in first. That's true. All right. With that, thank you guys so much for watching. And we might see you in Germany next. We'll see. We'll see you soon.
Hopefully. Bye.
Well, I just didn't know if there was going to be another video beforehand. Yeah, I think there will.
Yeah, there will be. Okay. See you guys.
Cheers.